Hello, and thank you for joining us here at Vitality with Jay Gillis. I wanted to make this video for our team members, those that are coming in and we're joining into our corporation, into our organization, and share some things with you that you're going to be hearing a lot about in the days, weeks, and months to come as you're joining in with the live Zoom calls, and we'll get to all of that. But to give you the process the best that I can, to go over the details of it, and to start with, I want to make a couple statements here that's very, very important, I think, to you and to your success. And the first thing is, the most important thing to me is that you get to understand not just the history of the product or the history of the company, but understand the history of our founder, scientist, Dr. David Schmidt, and his heartbeat. So the way to do that is to listen and watch him as he presents. And there's plenty of videos out there for us to share with you to see and hear him. Because when you hear a man speak, you hear his heartbeat. And when you see how pure-hearted this gentleman is and how amazing he is, then you start to understand where his future focus is and where it's not. And so it's important to get to know him the best way you can is through his videos. Pick up on his heartbeat. And then when you present his product and his company to his clients, which have been entrusted to us, we do it accurately. So there's a few things that we need to present in a manner that illustrates accuracy in how David Schmidt wants his product to be used, how he wants it to be presented, and how the company wants to be presented, and how you and I can benefit and help other people enjoy life better by our presentation. When you realize that this man didn't start with the Boy Scouts of America, he started with the U.S. Navy SEALs, and he created a patch for them that gave them the energy they needed while on missions to sustain them during the missions. That is huge. That is a government agency coming to him and saying, we believe in you. And that was 20 years ago. And so when you realize the evolution of the product and the evolution of the vision, the evolution of the company and what has brought us here today, there's a few things that you need to earmark in your presentation and in your personal understanding. And it's really important you get this next statement, okay? Because you need to learn to say the same thing the same way every time. And that means you need to pay attention to the verbiage that you're choosing. It's important because if you just fly off the handle with a statement and you're just running down the road, you're going to be like the guy who starts a sentence and doesn't remember where he was going with it at the very beginning. It is so much easier when you say the same thing the same way. You get used to presenting it, and it will flow out to you as you own this presentation, and you need to own this presentation. And you need to be flexible enough to alter the presentation as the need would require, but you're saying the same thing the same way at the same point in the process. So you need to understand it, because listen to me, you're going to be talking with people that may make you uncomfortable, but there's nothing that brings more comfort to you and I than to know where I'm going next. If in the sales process, which I have been teaching now for over 30 years, there is a process. And if you get outside the process, you're going to get wrecked because you don't know where you're going to go next. And you're going to look befuddled in front of someone you're trying to impress. And that impression goes long beyond you. It goes back to the company that you're representing. We don't work for them. We are an affiliate with them. But our presentation, make no mistake, is a reflection of the company, the man, and his vision and the product that he has presented. We owe it to Dr. David Schmidt to present this accurately every time. And more than that, you owe it to the customer to be presentable and know where you're going and where you're going to end up next, so that it's a very easy flow and they're comfortable with it. Because you may get one shot with this and then they'll turn you off or they'll turn it on. They'll walk away, and it would take a miracle to get anybody to ever talk to them again about this product. So here's a few things by way of verbiage. David Schmidt's company, LifeWave, and his product are not medical. They are not medical devices. He is not a medical doctor, and As a scientist, he has steered us away from anything that would allow us to be somehow entrapped into the clause of practicing medicine without a license. And some of you may be a licensed physician or a doctor, an MD or whatever, that's fine. That's perfect for you. For those of us that are not, we cannot practice medicine without a license. So this is not a medical product, and it's not a medical company. Medical is different than wellness. This is a wellness product and a wellness company, and I'm going to tell you the difference. When you get into medicines, especially today, they're isolated practices specifying certain areas of the body. The optometrist is the eyes. The ear, nose, and throat doctor. The ENT is your ear, nose, and throat. The cardiologist is for your heart and the respiratory. Your podiatrist is for your foot. Your dentist is for your mouth. And they're all specialized, and they will localize what they're going to be treating based off whatever things you're going through. That's medicine. When you go to wellness, wellness is top of the head and the bottom of the feet, a synergistic flow of your life and how it's all interconnected and how vascular everything is as far as your health goes. And so if we can keep our body in a healthy state, should we have a medical emergency, our body is at optimum levels to be able to minimize the effect of that event and hopefully recover much faster for it. So one is wellness, which is what we're about and our patches are about, and his calling and his desire and his vision for this company, Dr. David Schmidt, is all about. And then there's the medical side of it. So when people bring you a medical condition, you cannot say, we'll heal that. You cannot say, this will help with that. You have to leave that alone and say, that's a medical condition. This is a wellness product. It may have a slight effect. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I can only tell you what it has done for me, and I'm going to tell you this. And learn this phrase. Everybody is different, and every body is different. So I know what these patches have done for me and my family because we've used them, but I don't know what they're going to do for you until you try it. I just know that overall, the basic several things that everyone has basically told us in common that they've experienced at some point when they're using this product is they have more energy, they're sleeping better, they have more clarity of mind and of their thoughts, and they can recall things faster. There's anti-inflammation going on, so we're not as inflamed and we don't have as much pain, and there's different things going on. And it may affect you one way and me another, but the beautiful part about it is the science behind this is 96% effective. In other words, the efficacy of this product is 96%. Out of 100 people, 4 people may not feel anything. That's pretty high. And dietitians and doctors of naturopathy will tell them probably how to fix the other 4%. Could be something as simple as you're not hydrating enough. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but it could be your diet. It could be you're a lot sicker than you thought. It could be there's a lot of medications going on. It could be just a lot of things that I'm not medically trained to share with you, but I'm telling you that they can, and they'll figure it out. 96%, that's huge. So the most important thing is that we represent David Schmidt and his product correctly, and we understand what we're bringing to the people. I said another video, and I deleted it because I didn't care for the way that it actually turned out, but I want to bring it back into this video, and that is, when I meet someone, it's an important meeting. It's not laissez-faire, hey, I'm here, if you take it, you take it, you don't, I'll see you around later days. This is important, and I need to have the mindset of that. I need to approach this as this is important to them. And it is. Guess what? I'm not their mechanic. They're important to them, but I'm not that guy. I'm not the high school educator. The children need educated. That's important, but I'm not that guy. I'm the person that has the information that could change their life forever. And you need to think about that. What you're going to share with these people, it's not some kind of a flippant thing. If here's something for you if you're not doing anything. No, this is very, very important. This isn't a carnival show. This isn't a parlor trick. This isn't me trying to guess somebody's weight at a circus. This isn't frivolity. This is very, very important to them. This is their life, and we only have one. And you're going to bring information to them that could change their life for the better forever. You could improve the quality of their living for the rest of their life and add potentially years to the rest of their life. You need to take that very seriously. And when you understand that, it will change the way you approach things. You're not going to be haphazard about things. You're not going to be careless. You're going to be very careful about the statements that you make and when you make them. So I want to get into the process of this. I don't want this to be a long video. It's going to be by nature. I'm sorry for that. But you need to grab the gravity of the situation and have a good time with it, but understand the gravity of the situation. You're here to change their life. You understand? So how do you do this? Well, the first thing is you get to know the process, and that's what this is here. You get to know the process, and the process that Peter Noe and our team has been talking with you, Karen McBride and others have been sharing every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in their Zoom calls is for you to get to understand this process. And one of the things that's important for you to understand is that when you start a conversation, you need to know where you're going next. And when you get this process down, it's going to bring a lot of peace to your heart when you're talking to them because you know where you're going to take them. When you're finished here, you're going to know the process and you're going to work the process the same way every time. You can be a little elastic with some of the things that you're saying to the person based off of those particular details they're giving you, but the process is always the same. And when you know what you're doing, it'll bring great peace to your heart and comfort to your soul in the fact that I'm going to talk to these people and I know right where I'm going to take them before I even start. And this is the way all sales work. And you're like, well, I'm not in sales. Sure you are. You're not going to give the product away. You're going to sell it. Sales is what makes the world go around. And there is a process to sales. And if you do it right, you do it with a heart of love and care. It's not about getting into their pocketbook and getting their money, and they'll feel that if that's all it's focused on. It's more about how can I help you have a better life? How can I help you feel better, sleep better, have more energy, bring more quality of life to you, and possibly add years of that quality life to you? How can I do that in a manner that's acceptable to you? I need to do this right the first time. Very few times will you get a second chance. That's why they say first impressions mean the most. So anyway, here we go. So you got to know the process. The process, as Peter Noe teaches, is the 3 P's, P.P.P process. The first P is for pique. And what you're going to do is you're going to pique the interest of your person that you're talking to. And it's important you understand that you just can't just walk up to somebody and pique them. And when they look at you like you fell off a turnip truck, well, that didn't work. Off I go. That person could have needed everything that you had to offer and was willing to listen to you, but your approach was off. Your timing was off. And I'm going to help you with that if I can, because you need to understand that you are exactly the same way as everybody else that you meet. When you are approached by a stranger, you have your guard up, you have your shield up. And the very first cliche that's going to come out of one of your mouths is about the weather, because that's the most meaningless conversation. The least invasive conversation. What about this weather today? How's that weather doing? Well, the answer truly is look out the window. It's right there. But that's their way of saying, hi, I'm a nice guy, don't have time. They have their guard up. So until they realize that you're not there to harm them, you're not there to rip them off, you're not a professional pickpocket, you're not going to ask them for a cigarette, you're not going to bum money off of them for food or anything along those lines that they don't know anything about, they have their guard up. They have that construct up of what they want you to believe they're all about. And you cannot pique someone in that position and in that stage. You have to get beyond that. And what's not going to benefit you is to try and force your way into that conversation. Some people will never let you in. Don't waste your time. I'll explain that in a minute. At that time, it's not the time for it. When they let you in, you'll know because they'll like, oh, hey, what's your name? Or you'll ask them and they'll tell you their name. But oftentimes, and I had this happen yesterday where this young lady come by who's going to talk to me about my roof. And first thing I know is she's giving me her name, where she came from, why they moved back into the area, events that happened in their life that caused them to want to come here to start a brand new start. And I think it's magnificent that they're wanting to have a brand new start. But she let me into her world. And she did that because she trusted me. She felt I cared, and I did. And so she brought her guard down and she began to tell me things that she had personally went through and her family had been through medically and emotionally. And she let me in. Now the guard is down. And now I have merited a little bit enough trust from this individual that I can ask them a somewhat probing question. She is a cancer survivor. Her cancer is in remission. And so I said, well, you mentioned some of the things that you have been going through physically. Are you into your health? And the first time I heard that, Peter said, ask him, are you into your health? I thought, man, that is... And Peter was right, but I couldn't see it. But I can see it now, Peter. I can see this. And I'm like, okay, now it starts to make sense. And when you see this, it's going to be hidden in plain sight until you see it. And then when you see it, it's like everything else that's revelatory in life. You'll never unsee it. So when you understand the process and you understand what we're trying to get you to see, feel, say, and do in a specific order, when you start doing it that way, you start understanding the process. Life is a lot like that. There's certain things that I can be a general coming out of West Point, and I have all the knowledge up in my head. And they put me out in a battlefield with a commander who's been 5 tours out there in the deep trenches with boots on the ground. And I just stepped freshly out of West Point. Who's going to have the more relevant knowledge? The one that's in the trenches. The other one has head knowledge, and they're very uncomfortable because they don't know what to do with it. The commander in the trenches, been there and knows what to do with it. So when you realize as you're doing this process, the more you do it, the more you understand it. The more the general does something out in the field, the better he understands what he learned at West Point. And it's the same way with everything else in life. Learn this process. You need to understand this process. You pique them, but only when they let their guard down and I have the time, I want to talk, and they let you in. Then you pique them. And I mentioned to you, there's sometimes you can't pique them and you let them go. What do you mean? Well, best way I can put this is when a farmer told me how he picks olives. You don't go to an olive tree and start picking olives because you can pick them too early and they're not ripe yet. Rather, you shake the tree and whatever is ripe will fall to the ground, thus the low-lying fruit. You pick all that up, they're ready for harvest. And you leave the ones on the tree alone and you come back and visit it from time to time and shake the tree again. Because if you're out here trying to shake people and pique people that aren't ready to be piqued, you're trying to pick the olive off the tree before it's ready. They're not ready yet. You got one shot. Don't take it when their guard's up. It's just going to bounce right off their guard. So take your time and know when to pique. And when you pique with questions that will lead them into a conversation a little deeper. I noticed you said something about your health. Are you into your health? Yeah, let me tell you what my wife and I have experienced and found that it absolutely has changed our life. Are you sleeping well? Because my wife wasn't. And now she's the best sleep ever. You have enough energy? Because that was my issue. I had more day at the end of my energy. And I was really kind of getting fatigued. And now I've been going to bed at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm working all through the end of the night because I have so much energy. This product that I can share with you, if you're interested, has changed lives all over the world. It's certainly changed mine. And that's a piquing. I didn't tell them the name of the product. I didn't tell them how it works. I just piqued their interest. Here's another way of saying it. There's a million ways to say it. But if I had information that can change your life forever, would you want to know about it? Yes. That's a piquing, right? So let me ask you, what's the last time you heard anything about stem cell technology and the latest things, the advancements that's coming out in that? Have you heard it? Oh no, that's piquing. Because now I'm opening the conversation. They're going to respond. Piquing must have a response. And the response I'm looking for is them to even lower their shield and say, no, what are you talking about? Well, do you know anything about stem cells? Because I personally didn't, except for the Christopher Reeves story. I knew the Christopher Reeves, the nephew of Stephen Reeves, the original Superman. I knew his story, but I didn't know much about stem cells other than the battle that was going on during his life. But I have learned some things about stem cells. And if you're interested, I can share it with you. This changed my life. You got a couple minutes? Yeah. I'll tell you what, make it real simple. Get your phone out and go to this website, www.whathaveyouheard.com. Go ahead and look it up. And while they're looking it up, we're going to watch this 2-minute video, tell you everything. And if this is of interest to you, I can share some things with you at that point. If not, it's okay. And let them watch the video. So let's go. So you peek, and then the second P is preview, and this is what I'm doing. I'm previewing them. I'm getting them to preview the video, literally. But I'm also previewing where they are and who they are. Okay? So as Peter Noah had mentioned before, there's the three main things that people are into is their health, their time, and freedom. HTF. Health, time, and freedom. Everybody needs more health, better health, more free time, and they need financial freedoms. And so I'm looking and in the preview, I'm listening to what they're saying. I'm looking at their body language, and I'm trying to ascertain, where are they? How can I help them? What product is going to be the best thing for me to talk to them about? And are they into health? Are they into time? Are they into finances, or all three? You know, that's all part of the preview. And I'm going to tell you how we're going to do this in a baseball thing here in just a minute. And then the final one is I will lead them to the product and then how to become a brand partner and enjoy the product and get them into and involved and committed to this journey of changing their life forever. So that's the process. And you need to understand that there's the first thing that you're going to do, the very first thing that you're going to do when you're peaking them. This is where we are here. The P.P.P. This is a baseball. Did you know when the bases are loaded and Casey's at bat, you know what he's not going to do? He's not going to hit the ball and run to third base. He's not going to hit the ball and run out of the outfield and try and catch it. You know why? Because he understands the process. And you need to understand the process. So the process is the universe is going to give you an opportunity and somebody's going to come into your life and they're going to be right here. And I'm going to peak them. I'm going to peak them right here. And as I'm trying to peak them, I actually should say this. I will begin bringing down their shield until I get them to where I can peak them here. I will peak them on first base. And I'll talk to them. And then I will go, once I have their interest and they've reflected back, yes, I'm interested in that. That sounds so interesting. Tell me more. Then I'm going to tell them more by going to this one, which is, I am now previewing them and I have them watching the video. And this is where I patch it. I patch most of the people that I get to second base on with this process. I patch them. I know some don't, and that's between them, and that's fine. Everybody has the ways of doing things. But I'm going to tell you why I do it. It's called the puppy dog close, okay? And if you were working at an animal store selling puppies and cats and all these things, and young couple comes in with 2 little kids, and they're looking for a little dog. They come over, and we're talking to them, and they find the one they want. Can we hold him? Sure. So you get the dog out of the cage, and you let the kids play with it for a little while, and you realize it's Friday. And, you know, it's getting a little bit late, and the parents, you know, they like the dog, but they got other things to take care of. And then the kids are like, please, mommy, let's get this dog. Please, let's get this dog. And Dad's like, well, it's getting late. We got, we got the weekend coming up. We got other things to do, blah, blah, blah. Here we go. Here's what I'll do. Do me a favor. Take the puppy dog with you. Take it home. Here's a puppy dog. Here's a bag of food. Take this puppy dog home and experience it. Let the puppy go home, settle down where you're at, let the kids play with it, get to know him, get to feel, get the experience of this little animal, bringing the joy and quality of life into your home again. Keep him the whole weekend. And then Monday, bring him back. Simple, free. I need your driver's license so you don't steal my dog, but take a picture of that or whatever, and then send them on their way. You know what's going to happen? The kids are in love with the dog. The wife will love the dog. The husband will love him, but not tell everybody he loves the dog. When it gets time to really want to do this, it's a pretty expensive dog. They're not going to bring that puppy dog home, or back to you, rather. They're going to keep it at home. They're not going to bring that dog back. Because when the parents say, hey, we got to take the dog back, the children start World War IV. It's not going to happen. That's a puppy dog close. Why? Because they took it and they held it and they experienced it. And then they loved what they experienced. And you will not get anyone who loves what they experienced to walk away from it. It's just not going to happen. It's not in our nature. In the same way, if I sit here for the next half hour trying to explain to you what chocolate ice cream tastes like, I'm going to bore you to tears. You'll be eating cat litter at the end of the day going, please stop. But if I buy you a chocolate ice cream and give it to you and you taste it, you're hooked. Why? Because you experienced in a fraction of time everything I've been trying to get you to understand. The patches are the same way. A 96% efficacy rating. 96% of the people feel something. That's huge. And when I patch them, I don't patch them with an X39, and I don't patch them with glutathione or carnosine or the other. I patch them with one of 3 patches. I'll give them, depending on if they say, well, yeah, I'm not sleeping well at night, then I'm going to give them an Eon patch. And I don't patch a lot because they're expensive. But when I get to the point I'm going to patch them, it's because I know that they are ready for that. So I gave this lady the other day 2 of them. I say, here, put this on the back of your neck, just below your neck bone, on the center of your shoulders. About an hour, hour and a half before you go to sleep. And then sleep. And then take the second one the next night, do the same thing, and then sleep. And then call me. And I have her number. If I don't hear from her, I'll call her. And let me know what you experienced. And I'm going to tell you 96% of the time, but I did this with my wife's brother's wife. My sister-in-law. Her name's Beth. And I'm going to here, Beth, try this a couple times. Come back, tell me what you thought. Best sleep I've had ever, and now they're into the product. They are buying them from me, but I'm going to work them through the process because I'll get to that in a minute, but you save them money and you move them into commitment of better life, better quality of life. Once they try it and they see it. It's the same. The second one is LifeWave. If you're in pain, LifeWave is going to remove 60% or more of that pain almost instantly. The rest of it probably maybe over an hour or 2 later. It's something they can feel immediately. You understand? It's something that they can relate to, feel, and not deny. This is my niece. My niece had a knee problem, and her sister, my other niece, her older sister, is in our product and in my downline, and she's like, here, let me patch that. She put a LifeWave patch on it. And the niece with the knee problem was skeptical until the pain went away. And her response was, shut the front door. This works. I actually feel it. It's gone. My pain's gone. This actually works. Now they're ready to commit to buying product. And then we're going to explain to them how the whole process works from there. So it's important. So when you taste the chocolate ice cream, there's no more need for me to explain. And when you feel that this patch has changed your life, you can feel it, you can't deny it, you're hooked. And then you're like, okay, where do I go from here? I'm glad you asked. Here's what's going to happen. I patched them. Now I'm going to move them over here to where I have got them committed as a partner. And then when I talk to them about the opportunity here, this is when they come back to me and say, oh my gosh. Then I'm going to bring them all the way home, and I'm going to hit a home run with this thing and explain to them there's a way that you can save hundreds of dollars a year and really be a benefit to you and your family to do so, wouldn't it? Yes. Okay. Let me explain that to you. And then you bring them into the partnership, and that's what the 3 Ps are about. I'm going to peak them, I'm going to preview them, and I'm going to bring them into the product and the partnership. You understand? There's a system, and you have to keep the system going. You have to keep the system going. And if you don't know where you're going to go, you're going to lead them in the wrong direction, and both of you and the customer is going to be frustrated. So it's really important. So, and lastly, here's the thing that you need to understand from this point forward. Once you're in, you need to go to, and this is where you send them first. You do not send them anywhere else. When you peak them and they're interested, you take them right to this website. www.whathaveyouheard.com and say, listen, 2-minute video, watch the video, and they watch it. And then later, when you have more time, there's all these other videos of all these other real people like you and I and what they have experienced. They're expressing it in video for you to understand their testimonies of what they've experienced and encountered with this product. And I always suggest, and this is just me, pick one out that's a favorite. There's many of them there. They're amazing. But I use number 6 because it is a heartfelt testimony of a mother telling you she had facial migraines for 2,400 days until someone gave her an LifeWave patch. And it took those migraines away immediately. And then she got on X39. And then she tells the story of how she then began to help her daughter. And that's a mother-daughter thing. And it's very heartfelt, and it's a magnificent testimony to the product that David has created and to his vision of giving it to people for such a time and for such a help as that, okay? So I send him there and say, watch this and come back and talk to me. And then that's the very first place. I don't send them to letsbuildnow.com. I do not send anybody there until they're committed and they're as a partner, they're a brand partner. Now I'm going to help you. First, we're going to work towards getting your product paid for by the commissions you're getting by helping everybody else in your life. That's the first step. You can make some money at this. And the money that you need to make, don't get billions of dollars in your head. The first step is, what if I can now show you how to get your product paid for basically free, or most of it free, if not all of it for free? Would that be of interest to you? Let me explain how you do it. All you're doing is duplicating your process. You're duplicating this. And I'll get into another video on how to build teams and all that. And Peter knows and has forgotten more than I have about any of that. So you're tied into some of the most advanced people in building teams probably on the planet. And I tip my hat to all of them. But I want you to know that that's the first thing. And the second thing is, and then it gets to a point where you're sharing it with everybody and people are joining in and you're having a good time and you're feeling really good about what you're doing and how you're helping other people. And you're suddenly looking, now you're making $250 a week, every week. And that's $1,000 a month. That changes, that's a nice little income stream. And then it becomes $500 a week, and that's $2,000. That's life-changing. And then it becomes, $1,000 a week, and then $2,000 a week. And there are people making many thousands of dollars a week doing this consistently. They do this consistently. And you need to understand this and learn this phrase. Consistency wins out over talent every time. You don't need to be talented. Just be consistent. Be consistent in knowing the process. So I won't tell them about how to letsbuildnow.com until they're inside of the organization and I send them there. Now we get started and now we give them everything that they need to be successful. And if you can't be successful in this particular industry with the product that we have with over 200 patents that no one else in the world can sell, no one else. In fact, I tell my people this, it was created 20 years ago and its genesis of it all was created for the U.S. Navy SEALs. And now it's available by invitation only. You can't buy it at Walmart. You can't buy it on Amazon. It's invitation only. And I'm here to invite you. That's the system, and you need to understand it, because when you know the system, then when you get them in, see, then they're watching this and they're plugged into this and they have all the plethora of things at their fingertips to help them be successful. And if that's not enough, we have BeTheLightZoom.com Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You're joining and you're listening to everybody else in your team. And you're getting to know them. They're getting to know you. And you're going to hear things about the company and the history and the present, the past, present, future, and what's coming down the road. And this is the things that they're working on. There's some really exciting things. There's a movie coming out and there's some water machine coming out. And then he's got a home energy program that he's going to be bringing out. And he's got these drones that he's going to be, it just really brings you into a family of people that are dedicated to help you become successful. I hope that makes sense. I hope all of this makes sense to you. And I want you to join and relax and realize you can do this. We're going to do this. They're already doing it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of Vitality with Jay Gillis.